definitely deserves to be suspended. I believe 10 games is a good suspension, and it's not for the action, it's more for the perception and how the fans are looking. Every time I see, where I was in the back there, I'm in the green room, I'm watching a fan take a look at it, and they say, oh my God, that's so bad. And so the NFL has to have now a counter reaction to that with a suspension that will satisfy the fan base. And then you look at what Marquise Pouncey did. I'm saying Marquise Pouncey, he should have 2 games. Maybe 3 max, only because you watch, there are 2 offensive linemen, David DeCosta, he's on top of Myles Garrett, and then you're watching a same position, Marquise Pouncey, offensive lineman, he is kicking and punching him, and I'm saying, well, there's one person trying to resolve the situation. Both were right, by the way. I believe that Marquise Pouncey was right in retaliating the way he did, but if you're the NFL and you're saying there's one guy trying to solve this and smother the situation, there's another guy, frankly, keeping it going. And so that's why he would deserve a suspension.
A few quick questions before I let these guys jump in. So what should punishment be for Mason then as well, Mason Rudolph?
Wow, Mason Rudolph, it's hard to say because I've been in this scenario where the NFL is looking at this, and it's not just from, I know I'm giving you a long answer, but it's not just from all right, what did he do on the field? It's how is the public perceiving this? And I've been in that situation before with Bountygate, where even if you did nothing wrong, but the public perceives it as such, then we have to have a punishment that fits the crime, the perceived crime. So Mason Rudolph right now looks like a hero, right? He looks like he's done nothing wrong. Everyone's saying, oh, how could Myles Garrett ever do that to him? So I don't know if he gets a punishment based on the perception.
My last question is I know you're talking about NFL has to do this for public perception. What's your actual opinion on the swinging of the helmet? Do you think it's deserving of the 10-game suspension?
I do believe that, yes.
Because the action was wrong?
Because the action was wrong, yes. So from a player's perspective, I do believe that, because when there were tons of fights playing in my career, anytime a helmet came off, you're talking about a player either removing themselves from the fight, or it was, everybody understands, all right, you kind of come. The player that got his helmet taken off.
They don't pursue the fight, right?
Correct. Trust me, I agree with what you've been saying. Now, I equate it to fighting your brother, sister, whoever it is. You hold back. You always hold back, right? You just don't go all out. Myles Garrett went all out, and you just never see a player go all out when a helmet is off and that player is, in essence, defenseless, because these are alpha males we're talking about, the best of the best athletes.
I think based on what we saw, I don't think Mason Rudolph gets punished. I think where the potential for punishment is with Myles Garrett, what he tells the league that was said to him. If Mason Rudolph said some of those things that ultimately provoked Myles Garrett to respond the way that he did, then there may be some culpability on the part of Mason Rudolph in the eyes of the league. Based on the video, even though we saw Mason Rudolph trying to grab at his helmet or whatever.
And kick him in the groin.
It was after. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw it.
I'm not debating it. But that was after how Myles Garrett drove him into the ground, which, by the way, was a penalty. Not to mention the fact that it was 8 seconds left, the game was decided, et cetera, et cetera. So Mason Rudolph reacting that way, that to me would be a penalty and nothing more. But if Myles Garrett says, he called me something, he said something to me, he provoked this, that's when
Real quick, I think there's one more. I think that's right, but I think there's one more issue, and I think it's actually why Mason Rudolph must be punished, even for the optics of the NFL. If there's no punishment for Mason Rudolph, then almost any punishment for Myles Garrett, there will be those who say it's not enough. That his reaction to Mason Rudolph's antagonism was so disproportional that now he really needs to be, really disciplined by the NFL. However, if the NFL suspends Mason Rudolph a game or two, I'd say a game. I would say if you want to say 3 or 4 games, let's say 4 games for Myles Garrett, a game for Mason Rudolph. You want the rest of the season, 6 games, okay. A game for Mason Rudolph. Then what people will think is, wait a minute. There was some culpability on the other side. Right. Otherwise, the story just becomes bad Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph's victim. Started the fight, escalated the fight, continued the fight. But you need to do something if you're the league to show people, actually, this guy also was culpable in some way. I think he needs to be suspended for at least the game.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining us. We got to wrap this. We got one more thing to do on the show. We appreciate your insight as always. All right, still to come, we asked you on Twitter if Myles Garrett should be suspended for the rest of the year. We'll give you guys the results next.